Hi, I'm Charlie Elsheimer. Not long ago I had the opportunity to play a part in a very unique research project being conducted by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. In today's show, I'll reveal how two wild white-tailed does lived to the ripe old age of 8 and 12, and how they lived and eluded both man and predators.
How large is a doe's home range? Some believe they travel great distances and move through locations all year long. Some believe they stay put and never leave their square-mile home range. The fact is, both are true, and a doe's core area relates to cover, food sources, and dispersal. In this case, two collared does were tracked and plotted for 11 and 7 years. Here's what we learned about them.
This particular research project that I want to share with you happened to come about through the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Back in 1991 and 92, the state wanted to monitor how whitetails moved in the wintertime in farm country. Just so happened that our farm in western New York was a part of the area that they were researching, and so they started to radio collar some deer. And since 1992, they've actually radio collared or ear tagged 77 whitetails. And over the years, our family has been able to see these collared does on our farm. Some of the deer happen to be whitetail bucks, and we saw some of those, so it's been kind of fascinating to track these animals. And ironically, some of them have lived for a long period of time. In August of last year, one of the DEC biologists came to our home and wanted to know if I would help him out, and I asked him what he was up to, and he said, well, we've got two of our collared does that have had these radio collars for a number of years. Their transmitters are starting to wear out, and asked me if I would actually harvest them, and that was in August. And I said, well, I'm not really keen on doing it now, but I'd be willing to help you out come fall. And I asked him a little bit more about, you know, the particular animals, and he said, well, one doe is 12 years old and one is 8 years old, and they've been carrying their collars for 11 and 7 years respectively. And we know that through our transmissions that they're pretty much calling your farm home. And I kind of knew the deer, and we'd often talked about them, and so we set up a plan for how we were going to pull this off. Now, one of the difficult things is that both of the does happened to have the same color collar. And the biologists were kind of perplexed by that, because when the initial collaring was done, one had a red collar and one had an orange collar. But as it turned out, the 12-year-old doe's red color had worn off, and they had used a recycled collar that had orange, and the orange showed on it. So both does had the same color. But fortunately, the younger doe was far bigger than the older doe, so we were able to tell the difference. And so it was kind of a journey, if you will. We set up trail cameras, we started to monitor where they might be so that we could get ready for hunting season. We started to look at some of the images to see how they were showing up, what food plots they were using. So it was really kind of we really got into the hunting aspect of them and tried to set up a plan for actually hunting in the fall. So that's kind of what we did initially.